Good morning, everybody, and happy Friday. So this ends, for now, the backbending week, the ventral sheath opening, the deep front line. And I thought it'd be fun just to show you, this is a really old-fashioned device created by some yoga people that like to do this sort of thing. This is a backbending bench. I don't know if you can see it, but it's like a parabola. And you can still buy these. They've gone out of vogue a little bit. They tend to be pretty expensive, but if you're again into this sort of thing and you think it's a nice piece of art to have around the house and your spouse isn't gonna kick and scream, then you might find one used somewhere. This is kind of a cheaper model, but it allows you to shape your body over a curved surface. So, as you know, I'm very much into points of contact rather than passive, dangerous backbends that don't engage or allow you to feel the engagement of the muscles in the back extender. So just to show you for fun, as people wander into class, how this works, you set it up near a wall like this and launch yourself bravely into the backbend. And you try to press your feet against the wall. You tone your outer glutes, your backs of your hammies, as we've been doing all week. And then it has these little notches to then work the thoracic spine with the elbows in, which we've done, placing our elbows on a towel roll in child's pose. And I'm really engaged in the backs of the legs. And I'm lengthening, and I have the benefit of gravity to lengthen my T-spine and give it a little bit of muscular action. So it's not completely passive. So that's the way that apparatus works. And you can save your pennies or have one of these in your house if you want. But there's much easier ways, less expensive, to do the same sort of thing. So again, just kind of prelude of coming attractions. These little balls are pretty cheap. I don't know if Doreen has floated into class, but I know she has one. And one of the exercises I do to do a more active backbend is to simply launch myself over the ball. I can hold my head if I want, and then I come up and I get my core re-engaged, like a mini crunch. And this can get more extreme. I can launch my arms back, I can slide my legs long, and I'm in the same position I was in that torture contraption I just showed you. So these are kind of spongier, they shape to your back better. It's kind of nice. The other thing, even if you're not a huge backbender, is just to take something like this and press your back, your shoulder blades into the ball, so that you're actively supporting the musculature to take the spine into extension, rather than just kind of like a puppy dog, drape the body and just kind of loll on the beach sort of thing. Because that's, in my opinion, a dangerous move. There are some yin yoga fans in the crowd who like the kind of passive stretch. There is some passivity to a backbend, some release. But again, I like to strengthen the muscles that are going to help me, and make, more than just strengthen, make them aware of how they support the posture. Okay? And so you may be watching this and well, I don't have either one of those, but I have a couple of sofa cushions, and I'm going to make a seesaw with my sofa cushions. I have one across, like a crossbar, and then I got the other one. Again, we're just showing you some stuff that's fun. You can certainly grab a couple of sofa cushions. Now I'm on my little seesaw, right? And the same thing as I did with the ball. I go back, let the hips lift, and what is this? This is just bridge pose with a slight permutation or lift off the ground to allow me to open the chest more. Support the head coming back down, my seesaw comes down, my hips to the floor. Inhale and exhale. So I could do this, or you guys can, if you're so inclined, create that sort of action as our first vinyasa. And lastly, you have none of those things, but you do have your trusty towel roll. And you just take that, everybody can do this to warm ourselves up in the prana vayu of the heart center and the mid-spine. We just make a little towel roll, depending on how bendy your back is. That's how big your towel roll is. You set that on your shoulder blades. Support your head, drop it back. Open your arms like goalposts. Find the sweet spot on the shoulder blade tips. And then slide one leg long, the other leg long on the ground, tone them. So let's all do something. Those are the various options. And just take several breaths just to feel the collarbones open, the armpit ribs open. And as we open the kettle of fish, so to speak, or the can of worms, we're careful that we tone our sacral area, our pelvic floor area, our outer hips, the backs of the legs that we've been working on. And so that you're not getting a pinching or a contraction, a compression of the lumbar spine. Okay? And then bend your knees. Keep on your towel roll unless it feels too much for you. Let your arms go straight out like a T. Inhale. As you exhale, just roll your knees, widespread knees to the left. Roll your head to the left. Inhale, come to center and roll right. Like you're on a ship at sea, tippy canoe, and you're just kind of rolling out this area of the thoracic spine. Head's moving in the same direction at first, and then if you want to keep the knees over to the left and nod the head to the right. Take a few breaths there. Inhale to center, the knees go over to the right and anchor in their not too extreme drop to the floor, and then the head looks left. We just get that spiral sheath working a little bit. You can go back and forth, windshield wipering. Now the knees, and just give yourself a back rub. And of course, you know, because you've come to this class before, you can massage any part of that dorsal sheath or back body with a towel roll. You can push it deeper down the back or higher up the back. And then we're gonna, either by rolling to the side or sliding ourselves over our towel roll, slide it right into the low back. So that's now towel roll under your sacrum area, your low back, and pull your knees into your body. Give them a squeeze and regather our
Forward folding. Breathe into the low back. Drop your feet down, lift your hips enough to get your towel roll away. And shift your hips a little bit to the right and drop your knees down to the left. Stacking right knee over left. Take another twist and open that right arm out to the right to the floor, palm up. Tone the core muscles of the hips, outer hips squeeze together, the knees squeeze together. And just breathe. And just opening up the spiral sheath a little for back bending purposes. I like to put my left hand on top of my right knee, and then I'm going to walk back to center. Just shift the hips, lift them over to the left a little as you drop the knees to the right. Stack the left knee over the right, creating a right angle. Maybe pin the knees together with your right palm, pushing down on the upper left knee. And then open your left arm out. Breathe into this. Since we didn't do our pranayama, we're doing it in the forms. Don't force the body like a chiropractor might, but breathe into the structure of the pelvis, the hips. Make sure they're even, and then opening up the front of that left shoulder, the back of the neck. Just a little preliminary warm up. Come back to center. Without the towel roll, we hug our knees, and then rock and roll forward and back, keeping your chin tucked. Again, just to warm up the paraspinals. Advanced folks, feel free to do a full roll back to plow. Each time, reaching back with the arms, and then finding your Navasana. Again, just tricky tricks to engage your core, and then we'll sit in Sukhasana, crossing the shins, lift the chest, inhale, rotate to the left. Another twist, seated, push the sit bones to the ground, and breathe into the spiral. Other side, basic stuff, rotate right, left hand, fingers grabbing right knee, sit bones anchor. Feeling the contraction along that right shoulder blade, protraction along the left shoulder blade as it moves away from the spine. Release. And now let's go ahead and come to standing and come to the front of the mat. So I'm going to put together some of the concepts we've been working on all week, realizing that not everybody makes every class, but we'll, since it's Vinyasa Day, go through slowly the Sun Salutation C form, which should help us warm up for back bending. We're going to clamp the knees together if you can, and come into chair pose. On your first inhale, lift your chest. Take a few breaths here so we're not yoga tourists, flying by each pose. Again, compacting the outer hips. Find your core, and then find your lift, your active lift of the chest. Just as we did, laying over the towel roll, imagine it's there now, and then forward fold. Bend your knees if necessary. Drop your head, lengthen your spine. Again, if you had the towel roll against your shoulder blades, what would you do with your shoulder blades? Can you push the blades flat into the imaginary towel roll, or sometimes I've had you lean into a wall? And then step your right foot back to warrior one. Bend your front knee, come up to warrior one. Sink the hips down. Maybe a slight adjustment with your hands on your low back and hips. And breathe. One more inhale, and then we place the hands down to the mat. Bring the feet together, high plank position. And we're going to drop our knees down, keeping them pretty close together. And then swim the chest forward and up through Cobra, flaring the toes back. You can keep your elbows bent and hugged to your ribs. Watch your sacral area, your low back. Try to lengthen up and forward, as if I were the rubber ball, the exercise ball is now right in my back, and somehow I'm able to go back into that. And then exhale, child's pose with the toes tucked under. If you can, drop your head to the floor, open your shoulder blades, press your upper arm bones apart. And then inhale, lifting from the belly, Uddiyana Bandha, downward dog. You can bend your knees, you can bend and straighten. Take 5 breaths. And then bring the feet pretty close together, 3-legged dog. So if you're near the wall as I am, you can push your right toe mound into the wall, and that helps stretch the right hip flexor. One more inhale, and then knee to nose. See if you can just lunge that right foot. Take a few hops if you need to between your hands. We're going to come up to Crescent Lunge. The arms high. Same thing if you want to just adjust the hips. You're not in too much of a low back arch. Now as your hands find the ground, you're going to just hop or step your back foot to your front foot. And you fold. Exhale. Inhale, chair, bend your knees. Again, find your Mula Bandha through the knee clamp, the inner thigh action. And then standing as you exhale, palms to heart, legs straight. That's one side. Other side, inhale, Utkatasana chair. Take a couple, and then we'll flow with one breath, one move. And then forward fold. Now we're going to take that left foot back with the heel in, warrior one. Bend your front knee, come up. Take a few breaths to find your structure. After a while, you can do this with your mind and not your hands. One more inhale, and then we're going to reach to the ground and step, throw, launch that right foot to the left, tone your core for a high plank. Briefly, drop your knees pretty close, as if this was an Utkatasana form facing down. Bend your knees as your chest comes forward. Now kick your toes out, lift your chest. Inhale. As if you were potato chipping your back against that form I showed earlier, and then child's pose saves you from backbending despair. Lengthen the arms as you inhale, lift the hips, simultaneously expanding the body. And breathe. Thumb bones anchored, fingers spread. Feet come a little closer, and the left leg goes back and up. 3-legged dog. If you have the wall, you can push. One more inhale, then Crescent Lunge. You need to take a few hops to get that left foot forward. Up you come with the arms. Watch your hips. And then when you place the hands down, you're going to hop or step your right foot to your left. And forward fold. Chair pose brings you up. Knees clamp. Lift the chest and exhale. Take a free breath. Now we'll flow. You can either just watch and flow with me or go with your own sequence just to warm up. Notice that Utkatasana, here we go. Inhale, it tones the core. Exhale, fold. Right foot back, warrior one. One breath, reach. Exhale, high plank. Hands down, left foot to right. Drop your knees, chest forward. Inhale, Cobra. Keep the elbows bent unless you've got a big back bend. Exhale, child's pose to downward dog. Feet together, right leg lifts, three-legged dog, inhale. Exhale, knee to nose lunge. Throw that foot forward, come up, inhale. And as you reach to the ground now, drag your left foot to your right and fold. Chair pose, knees bend. Find that extension and muscles behind the shoulders. Exhale, stand. Inhale, Utkatasana. Exhale, fold. Left foot back with the heel in. Front knee bends, warrior one. Stand firmly in the legs and the hips. And then find your high plank. Drop your knees, launch your chest forward, and up through Cobra. Pinning your elbows to your ribs, pressing your tops of your feet into the mat. Child's pose, toes curled under. Inhale, lift from the belly. Downward dog. Feet together, left leg, three-legged dog, lifts. Exhale, knee to nose. Throw that left foot forward. And come up, crescent lunge. Dhanurasana. As I take my hands to the floor, I'm going to step right foot to left, forward fold. Chair pose, inhale, brings me up. I tone the core again. And then exhale, standing. Take a free breath. One more time with some advanced permutations if you want. Inhale, chair. Exhale, fold. Right foot back. Warrior one. Exhale, hands to floor, plank. Knees drop, hug the elbows. Swing through the gate of the arms. Cobra, or lift the hips up, lift the knees up, upward dog. Drop your knees, swing back, child's pose, to downward dog. Lift your right leg high, the option now of rolling open the right hip, peeking up under your right armpit, and bending that back knee, and then square off and lunge. Right foot forward, crescent. As you place your hands on the ground, you can step your left foot to your right, or advanced folks, take a standing split. Kick that left leg up at a right angle, hover with a flat back, or grab one hand or both hands on your front ankle and take it down. When you're done, bring the left foot to the right, forward fold. Utkatasana, knees bend. You cradle the hips. Allow a back bend. Exhale. Stand firmly. Drop the arms. Inhale. Chair. Big breath. Fill the sails. Exhale. Left foot back with the heel in. Warrior one. Exhale, hands to earth. Right foot to left, plank. Drop your knees, hug your elbows, swing through, kicking the toes back, or maybe lifting the knees. Drop your knees, child's pose. Back to downward dog. Stay here. And the feet come together, the left leg straight back. Or start to bend that left knee and roll left hip over the right, peek under your left armpit. Squeeze and contract the back of the left hammy as we did on Wednesday. Opening the hip flexor and left square off lunge. Left foot forward, crescent. Exhale, hands to earth, right foot to left. Or, advanced folks, launch your standing split. The right leg pointing back with the toes. And you can dive into this a few breaths. Or you can grab your left hand, the back of your left ankle, with both hands. Finally, right foot to left, forward fold. And the knees, chair pose brings you up. And exhale, standing. Take a free breath. And drop your hands. Now we'll move a little more slowly that we've warmed up and do a few more things. Inhale, same basic sequence, chair. Exhale, fold. Right foot back, warrior one. Now, exhale, place both hands on your front knee. Lift your back heel, your left heel, and slowly lower your right knee down to the ground. Low lunge, lift the chest, inhale. Exhale, like we did on Wednesday, sink. Take your right hand right underneath your right sitting bone, the back of the hammy, contract it, come out of your lunge. Bring the left arm up, inhale. Maybe take the left palm to the back of the head and lean back. Watch your low back, tone the core. Advanced folks, reach back with the left arm, up the head back. Now we take the hands to the earth, and we bring the front foot to the back, plank pose, drop your knees. You know the rest, you swing through the gate with the arms, press the tops of the feet into the mat. Child's pose saves you. Downward dog, inhale. The right leg lifts. Again, you can open up your three-legged dog, stacking your right hip over your left. And then square off and lunge, crescent. Coming up. Same thing, both hands to the front knee. Slowly drop your left knee down to the ground. Press your palms and your straight arms into your right knee, inhale. Exhale, sink down, watching your outer hips. Let them be as symmetrical as possible. When we reach back, we get in touch with that upper hammy in the left leg, we contract it. We raise up the sails of the right arm, maybe bending the right elbow to take and support the back of the head as you begin to back bend actively. So as you start to drop back, either with a supported head or not, imagine that exercise ball I had, and I'm really actively trying to contract those muscles in the back to bring it back. Go easy, of course. Come back to center, hands to earth. And we're going to just step the left foot to the right, or take a little hop up to your standing split again. And see what you can do to mitigate the back bend by forward folding. When you're done, left foot to right, forward fold. And bend the knees, chair pose. Standing, Samasthiti. Take a free breath, clear the system. Remembering back bend can make you wiry. or caffeinated. And here we go, other side. Chair, inhale. Exhale, flow. Left foot back to warrior one with a heel in. Bend the front knee and reach. This is a back bend right here. Now we'll place the palms on the front knee. Lift the back heel and slowly descend to your low lunge. Toning your core along the way. Then we'll drop forward a little bit. Take the left hand to the back of left hammy again. A lot of repetition. Reach up right arm. And advanced folks, just drop the head back. Folks that have neck issues or want to be safer, you support this with your right hand. You reach back up, take the hands to the floor, plank pose, right foot to left, knees drop, chest forward, roll up through Cobra. Same contraction of the backs of the legs, the paraspinals, and then child's pose saves you. Downward dog, and the left leg is going to come up, extend back, three-legged dog, bending your left knee if you want, rolling your gaze into your left armpit, contracting the muscles in the back of the left leg, lunge. Crescent lunge. With the left foot forward, hands to the front knee, lower the back knee down. Sink in. Sweep the right hand back. Grab right underneath your right butt. Contract that back hammy. Now we're anchored in the lower pelvis in the back. Now we reach up. So even if you can't back bend at all, get lift with the left arm and the thoracic spine. Think of that lifting. And then if you want to drop back, you do. Come back up, hands to earth, and we're going to step the feet together, the right foot to the left, or advanced folks standing split. Make a T with the legs, right angle. Look down at your left big toe and see where you can go. Don't force it. So let the spine re-lengthen. And when you're done, right foot to left, forward fold. Take a few breaths here in case there are any imperfections in the mix. Come up through chair when you're ready. And then standing Samasthiti. Okay, a couple of standing, hopefully people are still with me. Vinyasa yoga is not for everybody because it demands certain skill. So now we're going to just open our outer hips a little bit. A brief interlude, and if you can make a figure four with your right shin across your bent left knee, with your palms like so, you can do that. If you can't, you're going to just go onto your back and do this figure four on your back. I'll leave that option up to you. Old school Ashtangis. I don't know if Barbara's here today. Go right into your half lotus. And drop it down. So this is a good way if you're not advanced or your body just doesn't support it to completely trash your knee. Why do I show it? Because you're going to see people do it, and I want to tell you it's probably not safe. So we're going to go with the safe one. We square the hips. Now, if you want to drop down and do something sophisticated with the forward fold, you can. Those of you on your backs doing your figure four, you can roll up with your figure four And do this same fold with the right ankle across the left knee, like so. Then you're safe. But for the advanced folks, balancing is fun, and it does engage the core. So now we switch floor people and standing people to the left shin. Make sure the hips are even. Uddiyana Bandha. Can you hang out here, drawing your low belly in, pressing your sitting bones down. If you're wobbly, you could be working with your hands on a chair or against the wall. If the hips are well supported, they're in a symmetrical pattern, you can dive down. Or if you're on your back with the figure four, roll up and do a forward fold with this left shin across the right knee. Those that are standing, flat back, inhale, exhale, and then come up. Okay, really good. So now let's just go a little more warm up and have your towel rolls ready. Utkatasana brings us up, exhale, fold back. Now we're gonna step or jump both feet back, and we're gonna come down to our hands and knees, sit back onto our shins in Virasana. So, just for the folks that weren't here on Wednesday, grab a strap or open your towel roll. I'm going to use this bungee because this bungee is nice. And if Virasana doesn't work, sit cross-legged and just go over the rainbow. Inhale and exhale. So I'm finding a width of the strap or bungee, if you like bungees, or a towel, to just work open the shoulders a little bit. But there. Roll in this back bending process. You can hang out here like the figurehead on the front of a ship. Those of you on Cape Cod. So the shoulder blade tips coming together, but the upper shoulder blades winging apart. This is an important distinction. All right? And let's just take a twist in Virasana, placing the right hand across the left knee. Smooth breath. And then a twist over to the right. Left palm on right knee. Okay, so now grab that towel roll. You could have a foam roller if you wanted. You could have one of your sofa cushions. And we'll do a little bit what we did, I think Monday, with the hips right down on that towel roll for easy Cobra, and I just waggle from left to right to feel what's going on in that ASIS area above the frontal hip bones. And warming up the pelvis a little more intelligently, pressing our pelvis down to the ground, flattening our low backs and our glutes like a lizard that needs to crawl under a very thin or narrow space under a door. There's an image for you. So now we'll bring the forearms together and hold our opposite elbows and touch them. And the elbows and the forearms are just in front of the shoulders. We lift the chest as we press our pelvis to the ground. So this could be the ticket for you. And one more thing, we're going to open our arms again to Cobra, but palms facing the sky. Palms facing the sky, and push the backs of the hands into the earth to lift the chest a little more dynamically to feel those muscles behind the shoulder blades engage. So that's the work. But meanwhile, the pelvis is pushing and anchoring us to earth. Grab opposite elbows again. We're going to lay the right forearm exclusively down now, just parallel to the short front edge of your mat. Can you reach back and grab your left foot like that? Hold it, look forward, lift your chest, inhale, exhale, push your left hip in particular down to the ground. Dynamic hip flexor stretch. Feel any pain in your low back, what have you, forget it. And back in the day, what people used to do is pull their foot right down to the outer glute to stretch the quad. If that's your practice, go for it. But not recommended for everybody. Let's switch sides in this half bow pose. Forearms together. And the left forearm is going to anchor down, pushing into the ground. Maybe you just put your right hand like a kickstand over to the side. This is as good as it gets for you. But if you can, you're going to reach back and grab that right foot without the knees straying too far apart. Lift the chest and exhale. Think of sliding or pushing the right knee away from you. And breathe. So this is dynamic. Okay, let's release that. Let's take our heads down to the ground. Separate our hands out from the shoulders. Bending our elbows for Cobra pose with your belly bolster. Exhale, roll back to child's pose and put your head on the towel. 5 or 6 breaths, or you can take a downward dog. And then we'll do dhanurasana in just a sec. So everybody have a downward dog for at least a couple breaths to get your low back in order. And now sit back in your virasana again. And while you're here, take your towel roll and make it a little bit beefier. So I'm going to double fold so that I get a bulkier roll, bulky roll. Or you can have 2 towels. And if you're a fan of the foam rollers, those will work too. So now I've got a pretty big Tootsie Roll, 4-inch diameter. It's got to still be wide enough for my hips. And I'm going to take my hips down to that bulky roll. So this gives you a little more elevation. Same thing with the Cobra. Now you could repeat what we did with the single leg, or you can grab one leg and start to now, as I grab my left foot, reach forward with the right arm and straighten it to lift the chest. Now be careful, hips pressing down, chest lifting. This is just dhanurasana on your belly. So I've got, instead of my right forearm down, I've got a straightened right arm. Put the right elbow down, come down again. Easy Cobra. Reach back to grab the right foot. Square those hips, push into your belly bolster. It's catching the belly, it's catching the frontal hip bones. And then launch the pose. So inhale, come up. Exhale. Feel the contraction of evenly the paraspinals, like I'm shaping that potato chip curve. Those that can, grab both feet. Advanced people. This is for the advanced group. And breathe. Push the knees away, lift the chest. Be careful coming down, head to earth. Push your pelvis into the towel roll. And then back to child's pose you go. Really sit the hips down now. Let that low back take relief. Downward dog. Then we're going to step or jump our feet to our hands. Lengthen to a flat back. Come up through chair and stand. So how's your low back feeling? Is it a little tweaky? If it is, then you've got to be doing a little more core work. But remember what we did on Monday, pressing our palms to our fronts of our hips, pressing our frontal hips into our palms like that, so that I get that, what I call the lizard flattening, broadening of the medial glutes. If you're still feeling okay, then you can try a standing back bend now, and either advanced folks pushing your hips into your palms, and then leaning back, and exhaling further back, and then inhaling up. Or beginners, you're going to take your hands to your low back, fingers up or down, whatever works for you. Support your low back so that it doesn't get too much of a curve. Lift your chest, and maybe you don't drop the head back. Maybe you just keep jaw under bandha, shin lock, and you just, like a farmer, start to go back. If you're dropping your head back, be careful that when you return to the surface, you don't try to pull your head up first. It's really, really important the head comes up last. So I really recommend folks trying just to support their head, the back of the head, once you've got the hips in the right place, and just be safe. I mean, you can press your head into your hands and get some nice tone in the back of the neck, but a free-floating neck for a lot of people is just not a great plan. Okay, let's take another forward fold, and then we'll move on. If you got any low back traction now, you can, before your forward fold, do this little easy move, pressing straight arms into the tops of your quads. Sit your hips down and just let that lumbar stretch out. Or take a horse stance and just do a little traction here with wider knees. And you can even do a little rotation spiral. Okay, let's come up, and now we're going to work toward a wall dhanurasana, since some people weren't here on Wednesday. So if you have a strap, you could grab it and use it. I'm going to show some different options here. So beginners, you can work against the wall. Or if you don't have a wall, top of a chair. All we're going to do is similar to what we did on the ground on our belly bolster. So what did we do? We were kind of, if I were to show it, we were in this Cobra pose. So you could take a Cobra pose against the wall, right? And then we reached back, grabbed one foot, which I'll now do with my right hand. Pressed my belly, now you have to use your imagination, into the belly bolster, and then started to straighten the left arm. This is your version of dhanurasana. Pretty safe. And look up. And you're pushing your held knee, your right knee, down. And then you do the other side. So a little my easy Cobra pose with forearms in the wall, and then I take the other leg. And I balance about 1.5 feet in the wall with my right toes. I grab my left foot and I push the knee down so that the hips and the core come on board. And now can I slide and lengthen the right arm up? And that's your work. What do you do? Forward fold after that.
Bend your knees. Let your low back Get respite. Come up with a rounded spine, head last.
So you have to be smart and judicious about how deep you go into the back bending. That was your ticket, that's where you're at. Others might go a little further, and as they grab the 1 foot and reach up, they start to lean into the wall a little bit. So I get my chest into the wall and do it that way. Instead of just staying straight, I'm going to allow myself to put my chest against the wall and work here, contracting the extensors. So those are the first 2 options, which should satisfy most people. Now you can go with your forward fold again, or what I'd like to propose is a little segue into Parsvatanasana. We'll split the legs. We can either take the hands to the earth or the hips,
And we'll fold over the front leg. Compact the outer hips and pull the belly in. And take this as deep as you want. Easy switch of the legs, don't go too wide. And again, I'm showing more or less a full pose. Beginners, you know that you can just work your hands on the wall, on the chair. You don't have to drop all the way in. Really good. Okay, so now let's try our final movement into a lying down back bend. Could be a wheel, could just be a bridge, but we're going to take our whatever apparatus we have. So could be the foam roller, the towel roll, the seesaw, and now I'm going to be rude and turn my back toward you so that I can get my feet into the wall and have some push into the wall. So start with my knees bent, watch first. If you have the double cushion, it's nice. And then I start to reach overhead and push straight my legs into the wall and then open up the toned legs to back bend here. Again, you can go back to the towel roll we started with, class. You can have this seesaw apparatus. Pretty safe. You can also goal post your arms. Come out, bend your knees. Safest way is just to roll off to the side and come up. So that is nice for beginners. And then I'll offer for the advanced folks the option now of urdhva dhanurasana, or wheel pose, having opened up the back bending body pretty good. It will all start if you take a peek in bridge pose. Make sure you're not too near the wall and your feet are not too far apart. And we lift the hips up, get the shoulder blade tips in, tone the backs of the legs. So this, for a lot of you, is that. For those ready to come into wheel, would reach your arms back behind you and press the back of the wrists into the floor behind you. Push the knees forward. So you're really toning the upper hammies, the outer glutes. And then you're going to slide your fingernails, drag them back alongside the head, lift up. toning the backs of the legs. You come down, tuck your chin, and whatever one you choose, be wise, bridge wheel, finish by pulling your knees into your shoulders and rolling gently from left to right for your low back. Any permutations of this, happy baby or straddle, holding the feet with your fingers on your big toes or your strap. Again, a forward fold subsequent to the back bend. That's it, Shavasana. Take a few breaths to rest. As I mentioned, I think on Monday, if you're feeling like you got a bit wiry or caffeinated, roll onto your belly. So face down Shavasana to communicate to the ventral sheath earthiness, groundedness. In particular, relax the throat, the tongue, and the low belly. You can even take your palms to your low belly and have a little conversation with your adrenals. Stay here pleasantly for several minutes if you can, but I'll roll over and just be timely and close off the class. Look at that, even a few minutes early, so you can stay in that Shavasana for your next Zoom meeting. And check it out when you come to seated. How does the body feel after that sort of movement? The